Yeah, you missed the best bit of Pom's work live chat did.
Well, we are live, and that means the chat will start rolling through. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. It's Friday, the 26th of February, 2024. It is the final BA show for the preseason. Obviously, next week we'll have the show, but that'll mean, round one or opening round is only days away. So, yeah, good evening, Pommy. Good evening to you, my friend.
How are we doing?
How was your first week back at school this week? I feel like this was like a real entry and reminder into what Carlton football fandom is all about.
Yeah, I think after last night's live with the legend that is Jesse, I'm ready now for AFL season. It felt real. It was my first chance to talk to a foreigner.
Yep.
Not a Carlton friend. So that's always a little bit weird because this is my safety blanket with you, Terry. So it's not really content. This is just having a chat and people happen to be listening in. So, yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to go. We've got lots of exciting things planned, you and me, Terry. So that'll be good. Some place to vent my frustrations. I can't wait to talk about that on Friday. So it's good. No, I'm ready. I'm done my preseason, Terry. Set PBs. I'm round zero ready, baby.
When we start the new show on Friday, I think we officially have a platform for all the versions of Pom.
We do. You get to see them all. You get to see pragmatic Pom today. You get to see Pom hating anyone who's not lower class on Friday. You get to see working class Pom on a watch along. You get it all, don't you? I mean, like literally, like the many personalities of Pom you can find in this channel.
No, it's great. It's great. It's exciting. So tonight we're going to have a nice and efficient show because we have the Almost Blues Brothers going live from 8 p.m. So we've got a bit to get through. We'll talk very briefly on Geelong and the wash up from Geelong. We'll talk about Melbourne on Wednesday. We've got ticketing information. We've got an injury update. We've got a little quick recent update on Zach Williams and what he's going to be doing this week. We're going to talk a little bit about opening round. We're going to talk about themes and issues. I'm also going to introduce to the chat who aren't aware about the new people that are joining the family and the team from a graphic design point of view. Yeah, this is good, mate. This is the best time of the year, apart from finals.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Did you ever have a Santa Claus, like a big life-size Santa Claus with a button that would sing that song?
We had one that you did, but I don't know if it did that song. We had one that you used to press in the middle and it used to go.
Yeah. So Steph, my sister, she'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We had one growing up, and our little brother Chris used to press it all the time. And so when you started singing that song, it's literally that was the one song that stuck in the subconscious, nonetheless.
Yeah, you're taking me back now, Terry. I'm trying to think. Baby Pom. What song did it sing? It might have sung that,
Yeah.
Weird song to be stuck in my head.
Well, who we got? We got everyone. Everyone's here. Chills, Christian, Carlton Flaggers 2024, Rowan Vertigan, an OG name, Rowan Vertigan.
He's been around.
Yeah. Paul Hill, Bugs, Jimmy Aggio, Peter Lewis, Lou Felino. Do you know I can memorize these names off by heart? Faces I would struggle with.
Yeah, Aaron Gray, Big Davey.
That's a good one. Tommy Dagler.
I'm trying to work out, is that from Gladiator or is that from This Is Sparta? That's the 300 Pom.
It's maybe both.
Can it be both? I like the way that we just digress on this show. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Christmas chat and fucking movies. It's the Gladiator, thanks, Davey, mate. It would have annoyed
Luke
me.
Sayers is not on tonight. He won't be appearing tonight. Let me tell you, Luke Sayers coming onto the fan cams was just as much of a surprise to me as what it was to you guys. I was getting texts about 10 minutes before fan cam started to send the link, but didn't know if it'll happen. It was very unlikely. And then all of a sudden, he pops up in the waiting room. Pom, for those watching at home, can you explain how different it is to do an interview live on fan cams as opposed to like pre-recorded?
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, luckily, Terry, I don't give my guests the luxury as you maybe do of giving them a chance to retract what they say. You're always on record when you're on Pomming Us. Mate, when I hit record, you're screwed. But no, it is hard. I mean, it's hard for yourself as well, because I mean, to just come up with intuitive questions on the fly is quite hard. And me and Terry differ some ways. Like one way, I can just talk the legs off a donkey. Terry's a bit more composed. So it's good to see Terry under a little bit of pressure, to be honest, because you guys and girls in chat, you're veterans of watching Terry, but you're not quite the veteran that Bob is. And I like seeing the things you don't say, but I can hear what you're saying.
You know what? The first question was easy. Second question, I thought I nailed it. And the third question, I was like, oh, I spoke for way too long. I didn't quite get the question out, but that's all right. I'll work on it. It's preseason. It's just
he handled himself pretty well, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? Like he came on in a shocking time. Let's just talk about the time Luke Sayers came on, right? He had God bless Franco, great human being, good guy is Franco. Even though I don't agree with him all the time, you know, it takes some balls to come on here and chat. But he laid into the club. You had people in the chat saying the club of frauds, the hide shit, fucking PWNC scandal, and fucking Luke Sayers. I knew Luke Sayers was in the waiting room, and I was like, what a fucking elite time for him to come on. Like, do you know what I mean? Pom's trying to calm people down in chat. Terry's trying to calm it down live. Absolute gold. Like, brilliant. Well done, Luke. I tell you,
that's great.
You came on while me and Terry were taking heat. I tell you, we were in the trenches. There was shit on fire.
We're putting on fire. We're putting out fires, but that's what it's all about. No, you know what? It prepared me for. It really did prepare me for the year. I need one more practice run Wednesday, and then the regular season, because the regular season, the emotion, it comes into you. And now I think it's easier to be on top of the emotions and, you know, have a level of control and poise. But, you know, when you're 5 goals down and you shouldn't be, and you've kicked 9 goals, you know, 15, like, how are you meant to keep it, you know, that's the challenge.
Probably asking the wrong person, Terry, to be honest. Like, Terry asked Pom how to keep your emotions in check. I don't know. If you find out, let me know.
Mm-hmm. So we'll do one quick recap of Geelong just to see if there were any other lingering themes and issues that came away from that. And then we'll move pretty quickly into Melbourne. Anything from you, Pom, or those of you at home? Any lingering issues that maybe we didn't cover throughout the week that came up a little later from the Geelong game?
Well, I mean, not really. Just more of the same from me. I mean, I do want, while I'm here and I'm afforded this platform, just to give a big shout out, sincere as well. I don't often give sincere ones. But I'd love to give a shout out to Dwayne's World today for almost word for word talking about Carlton's speed of ball movement, and they used 4 times. You overemphasize what you're doing. So thanks for just totally stealing that from an overseas international. But that was good. But no, overemphasize that. It was really obvious that there was no design, really. There was no, it wasn't an application exercise. It was basically overdo what we're working on. And I thought if you watch it and watch that game again, listen to Ash Hansen. If you didn't like that game, Club has released a brilliant insight into Ash Hansen G'ing the boys up. And he literally drums in. It's all about getting it out of the training track, all the things you've worked on, and doing it today against opposition that aren't friendly and that are here to stop you doing it. And it really put you in that mind frame. So I'm really excited because I'll give Dwayne's World this. They did say that that's probably their issue with Carlton. We're one-dimensional, and it was good to see them tools. So you suspect this week we're going to probably see some more people that we haven't seen, speculative. So that's exciting, isn't it? I mean, I don't think we'll see Sam Walsh. Just on Sam Walsh, though, how good was it, Cripper? Like, you don't need to analyse Mark Hamill's scratch face when Cripper tells you, don't worry about it.
Let's talk about Sam Walsh. Big topic, popular topic. And Cripps did speak about it pretty clearly today about Sam Walsh. It seemed relatively confident that it was just back soreness and tightness as opposed to anything more serious. Was running on Sunday, did a training session. I actually saw somebody on Instagram who I've forgotten who it was, who was at the club and posted a video of Walsh doing some running. So I feel like the situation is, what's that?
In a moon boot.
In a moon boot. No, I feel like this is, if we could summarize where he's at, it doesn't sound like, even if you're trying to read between the lines, it doesn't sound like one of those positions where he will be missing for 5-6 rounds or 4 rounds like last year. It seems like he's a genuine chance for opening round. But if not opening round, then highly likely for round 1 against the Tigers. That's my read on it. So worst case scenario, Tigers, maybe even after the bye, I don't know. And this is just me just reading between the lines. Best case scenario, he's lining up in opening round. But then that brings me to the question: is Walsh a player you can play in opening round with 0 practice matches under his belt?
I think Walsh has this uncanny ability, a bit like John Daly in golf. He could probably go out on the piss to 6 a.m. And then opening bounce at 7 be better than half their field, because I think he's so naturally gifted. I think when you look at Walsh after last season, coming in underdone in finals and was, not arguably, was our best player. Do you know what I mean? And you look at that midfield, them guys had a good 8-12-week stint, some of them. Sam Walsh looked like he hadn't missed a game. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had that scratchy 10 minutes the first game he played, but after that, the guy looked like he had a full preseason, had a full 25 rounds, and took the piss. So I think Walsh is one of them players that basically, I think Matt Anderson nails it, save him from himself. The way I look at it, I feel like, how do I say this without sounding nondescript? I couldn't give less of a shit about Sam Walsh, to be honest. I care about Sam Walsh towards the end of the season. So for me, if I don't see him round 0, don't see him round 1, I don't see him round 2, I don't care. I want Sam Walsh back on the field when you can say to me 4, 5, 6 games straight. I don't want to be in that situation where we used to do this show, Terry, where we'd play a 90% injured Cripps, a 90% injured Jack Martin. Cripps would get more battered. Jack Martin would do a hammy. And we were constantly saying, where's the relief? Where's the depth? We have the depth now to preen Walsh to be brilliant. But I thought Cripps handled it really well. It was good to hear the 8th person this week say he's going to have back problems for a while. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be protected. It's got to be protected. And it's not an injury. It's an aggravation. So that's good. But far as I'm concerned, Brisbane, if he hasn't played a minute tomorrow, who cares? Do you know what I mean? If he's good to go, make sure he's there. Make sure he's there, because you know he's going to kill it. And Cripps was right about that. Walsh will kill it 2 months training, 2 seconds training. That's how he is.
Well, I'll read you the word-for-word quote. So this is thanks to Up the Baggers on Twitter, who was provided this on Twitter. So this is from Cripps. So today was the captain's media day. And Cripps's quotes were as follows. So we had a training run yesterday and he was running pretty well. It's a hard one with these back things. I think there's always that trauma that he's going to be out for another 3 months, but it's only a little tightness in his back. The best thing about this year is that he's done a mountain of work. He was absolutely humming. He got a bit stiff, but he'll reload, and knowing him, he'll do everything he can to get up. If it's opening round, then great. If it's not, we just want him for most of the year. I know that's what he's focusing on as well. He's one where everyone thinks he'll just be fine, but it would be challenging because he's wired to be the best. That's just his makeup, and that's what makes him so good. The way he trains, the way he prepares, he's got the biggest ability I've seen from being a good bloke and fun off the field to once he crosses the white line, he's on. There's no stopping him. And that's the hard thing for him. He's wired to just keep pushing, but he'll get it right. There's no doubt he'll get it right and he'll play good footy. As a mate, I just make sure he's going okay mentally. That's the hardest thing with injuries as players. You do so much work and you want to get the best out of yourself. Every now and again, adversity hits and you get setbacks, but it's how you bounce back from there. He'll be fine. He went on to praise Elijah Hollands specifically, which, mate, like, try not to overhype players, but I mean, Elijah is one of these names that has been mentioned. I think whether it's Cripps, whether it's any of the summer sessions guests on the podcast, like Elijah seems to be the name that they're all mentioning first as, you know, who's impressing you.
And if you were lucky enough to follow Mr. Elijah in his draft year, boy, oh boy, what a footballer. I've got to say, always one of the few players that I really do keep tabs on ever since he's come in the system. I was stoked he went to Gold Coast as well at the time because I thought he's basically going to be replacing that Ablett area, do you know what I mean, of the ground. He's going to be the potential star. I was kind of excited for Gold Coast because them couple of years of drafting, they've really brought in some real promising players. But I mean, this guy can do everything, and people aren't talking about it. Everyone loves Ashton, but the last dual-sided player I saw as good as Ashton was this kid here. People forget that this guy can kick elite on his left and his right. And the big thing is he stands players up, and that's something that we haven't had. He stands players up. He's willing to take them on one-on-one. He is, I'm not going to link him to Dustin Martin, but like that appeal, he's attack first, defend second. That's what he's about. He's like, take the game to you. And I think that's one thing we massively lack in that forward half of the ground when we play them on half forward. All of them seem to have that onus of defensive responsibility or safety first. Elijah, you saw it in this game against Geelong. He'll take the risky kick. He wants the game to move. And that's a really exciting thing. And I can see why Carlton like it, because I'm telling you, they haven't had a half. Most of these players won't have played a player with a player of that skill level doing what he does. I know Walsh is skillful, but I mean at half forward, someone that can look to make things happen out of nothing. So I love Elijah, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, because he's got it all to play for. He's with his little kid brother. And trust me, as the middle brother, I pride myself that I'm better than my little brother at everything. And I hate it if my big brother's better than everything. And that's something that drove him as well. So that's a big thing. That's a big thing for it. I think it's going to push Ollie and Elijah to another level because they're very competitive beasts.
Mm-hmm. There was a player that played last week that I'm really excited to see play Wednesday as well. And he's a guy that you don't get too excited about because you know he's got injury history and you're touching wood. But Dave Cunningham playing more midfield minutes. Dave Cunningham having done a full preseason for the first time in I don't even know how long. I think last year there was or even a little bit of this year too, there's been a few murmurings in comments about, we lost our dynamic edge and our point of difference in the midfield when we got rid of Dow and or Fisher if we needed them. I feel like Cunningham is that point of difference in the midfield that we didn't get consistently last year. And not to say he's going to be an A-grade player or All-Australian or anything like that. He might, but, you know, it's more about just keeping him on the park consistently. I liked what I saw from him. I think he can do things in the midfield that not many of the others can. And for all the talk about, are we a little bit too one-paced? You mentioned it on your fan cam around just the pace of the ball and, the difference between us and Geelong. Cunners is one for me that looked clean and composed in traffic. That is his strength. And he seemed to cover the ground relatively well. I do want to see what it looks like when the rest of the team is elevated with their pressure and their intensity. But he's definitely one that is ringing in my ear a bit more over the last 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, Cunners is... I think if you go to the GWS game, the one that we lost, it was kind of sad. That was probably Cunningham's best game for Carlton. If you go back and watch that in isolation, do you know what I mean? He had the 24 touches, a lot of midfield time, the 3 tackles. Do you know what I mean? The pressure acts were up as well. His intuition, his link play was really good. Do you know what I mean? As well. I think that's something that people forget because he was like joint second in score involvements that game as well. So it's a shame because then you kind of saw the lack of preseason, didn't you, in the finals? He kind of went. And the comments in the chat, I think, are fair. He's hot and cold, isn't he? He's Katy Perry, isn't he? He's hot or cold. That's clever. We're back in the string of fins. We're back. But
we are back now.
But if he's going to have the midfield time, he's earned it. We know Voss uses that as the dangler, doesn't he? I feel like that's something now he's got to really take because people forget Connors is an old man. Like, I forget. Do you know what I mean? Connors is, in football terms, he's old. Do you know what I mean? He's 27 next month. Like, blinking, your career passes you by. So now we're having the conversation that he needs to have that level of leadership, that level of composure, because David King said something today, and far be it from me to agree with him, but he nailed it when he said it's the most dirty word in sport, the P word, potential. Potential means fuck all. Do you know what I mean? We all have the potential to be the King of England. Only one of us is going to get that opportunity through marriage, and only one person's got it by birth. So you've always got to look at it that way. Do you know what I mean? That now it's a must. And hopefully, fantastic preseason by all accounts, running well. There's something there. But we've got to see it. And there's players in there that will take his job. Elijah will want it. Binns, like Troy mentions. Ollie playing on the ball. There's a lot of players that are going to be saying, you know what, mate? You don't do it, I'll have it. I'm more than willing.
Yeah. Do you agree that there's quite some level of intensity to lift defensively from what we saw last week and probably what we're going to see on Wednesday?
Can I just say, the thing that turned me on the most was we know Voss hates a tagger.
Yeah.
But deploying the cop dog on Danger for the whole of the third turns me on. Because I think if there was a role for Matty Cottrell and if there was ever a role for Carlton, I think we've somehow nailed it because I saw it. Their back half ground movement, Geelong, was really noticeable that they've changed it up. And I've been complimentary of Geelong as best I can, but honestly, they are like watching someone strip paint off a wall. They are the most boring, monotonous side to ever grace God's green earth. Successful, boring as batshit. To see them have a bit of excitement, but then suddenly I understand, Doc playing half forward, you've got your stopper. Suddenly you've got your defensive responsible half forward for them idiots like Jack Sinclair who take the piss against Carlton. Down the back, Sardi, Newman are going to do a job. If they've been told to do a job, they're going to be a pain in the backside. Cottrell, he annoyed Danger. And suddenly in that third quarter, I was actually beginning to like Danger until about 5 minutes into the third. And then I was reminded the guy moans and whinges about every little fucking thing. And Cottrell was there grinning and laughing. And I'm like, finally, if we've got that little change there where we don't play someone slow, because Cottrell's got a bit of pace on him, suddenly Carlton can tag the modern way, which is with an offensive mindset. And that's why I used to hate Ed Kernow in that role. It's very one-pace, flat-footed. Cottrell's going to do it. So I'm really excited about seeing Cotters in that role because I think that's just something in game we can switch up, and that's so important.
What about Wednesday? Who are some names that you want to see play a bit more than what we saw last week, assuming that there will be a few changes made. And I mean, I don't know which way they're going to go. Are they going to keep a full? I feel like we named a 75 to 80% strength team last week. Would you prefer to keep it that way this week? And if so, or if not, who would you like to see more of? Because there were some guys that surprisingly didn't play much or at all.
This is a real interesting one because Sam Durden, you would say, would have, you'd say part of you would say diligence-wise, you'd have to see him. You'd have to see him. I know it's not a senior game per se, but it kind of is. Because the Kent Young thing didn't quite work, did it? It didn't quite work. Let's be honest. I have faith in them, but then also to counter that, you're going to have to play them again, aren't you? Because one of them is going to probably play. So you can't ruin their confidence, because I think it's a confidence issue. I know everyone's off Lewis Young at the moment, but it wasn't long ago that we were raving about him, that he was a sensational pickup. So you don't just turn shit. Do you know what I mean? There's if you were good, now you're struggling, there is an avenue back. And the human in me says there's always the avenue back. So that's going to be an interesting one. I do want to see what Collingwood did, kind of have a little bit of a shootout there, give them a quarter each on the most dangerous forward and say, right, this is your audition. This is it. Do you know what I mean? No pissing about, 20 minutes to make a name for himself. The sexiness in me wants to see Binsey. I want to see Williams. Do you know what I mean? I want to see them. I think that's really important. Do you know what I mean? To just give them a taste of what they can do at this level. I understand why Binsey won't, or maybe not, will play. But Z will, if he's fit enough. I know there's rumours he's playing the VFL. A lot of talk has been. I would love to see him out there for 10 minutes.
Yep. Mitch Cleary did tweet out moments before we went live that Zach Williams will be playing in the VFL. So Zach Williams has been ticked off to make his return, will play his first game, and this is in the VFL. So that is now also something that is going to be a closed game. It's not going to be open to the public. So Zach Williams will tick him off for a moment. And I think that's really positive to hear that he's going to get some minutes. Don't know how many. There were a few names that didn't play at all that I think I want to see. Chincotta was one. He played in the VFL. I saw probably the first 20 minutes of the first quarter, and he was everywhere. And then there's Pitto. Pitto, I don't believe Pitto was injured. I don't believe he is hurt or nursing anything. The last time I went to that training session, he seemed to be moving pretty freely, no knee strapping, none of that. So it seemed like they wanted to try TDK rucking with Harry pinch hitting. So does that mean you think they'll go Pitto playing with Harry pinch hitting, Pitto playing with TDK and Harry? Like, that's the question mark I've got over that little spot.
I mean, Pitternet is one of them players that, I mean this with all love and due respect, but I think Pitternet could have 20 pre-seasons, be on the treadmill all the time, and I'm willing to put money on this. We come and do the ratings, and it's just a little fucking dot.
In the center square.
Do you know what I mean? So no disrespect to Pitternet. If that can improve, but Carlton obviously build a plan about that not improving, because it was quite successful. Do you know what I mean? Let's be fair, that 2-ruck system, it brought TDK, the best out of TDK, didn't it? So I think that's always an option. Maybe I'm a sadist. It could be possible. I might be alone here, and I'm going to put it out there. I liked Harry in the ruck. I
liked it.
I didn't. You know what? If you'd told me before the game, I would have said no chance. But I didn't mind it as much as I did. So I actually don't mind Pitternet not playing. And if Pitternet has a stint in the VFL, I agree with Bugsbow. For me, it should be the 28 best available players, with the exceptions of the players that are best 22 that are ticking off boxes. But Pitternet, for me, what you see is what you get. I've seen Pitternet play for Box Hill Hawks when I'm told he's just run his best time trial and stuff. And it wasn't exactly labour intensive. I think that's his game. No offence to him. Riley O'Brien, when he runs around, it looks like he's running through salty water. So, yeah, I think he's one of them players. He's one of them
I don't
players,
mind Mackay in the ruck. I think my fear previously with Mackay in the ruck was that centre bounce, jumping into a ruckman. And if you are not a ruckman and you don't have the craft beneath you, you can get hurt. You know, you can't. I mean, listen, you can get hurt doing anything. He got hurt last year taking a mark as a lead up forward. So it's probably just more of an irrational fear. But when Harry, sometimes if he ever falls into a bit of a patch during a game where it's not going his way, and this is kind of what we did with Jack Silvani, if you think about it, we put him in the ruck. All of a sudden, you get around the ball, you throw a shepherd, you just get your hands on the footy, you get a little handball out, you lay a tackle, you just build confidence. So if ever Harry's dropped in confidence in a game, I mean, he's always got the ability to take a strong mark around the ground. That's the beauty of what he can do. But yeah, I think it's an unfinished question, an unanswered question. And I think we said this a few weeks ago on the show. The ruck duo, trio, it's not final. It's going to be one thing for one team and probably another thing for another team. I'm just curious because we didn't see Pito at all last week, not even in the two. So it lends me to guess that he will play this week.
And if he does, he does. I mean, like, I wouldn't, like, I agree with some of the reservations in chat. Do you know what I mean? Maybe full time every game. Not brilliant, but I'm with Bugspell here, and I've got to give Bugspell a shout out. Bugspell was massive on he fucking hates the two ruck system. And he was like, make it out of Harry. And I can't remember how I was. I think I was a bit nondescript to it. I don't think I hated it, but I don't think I loved it. But watching that, when you look at Max Gawn and you see the development of TDK, Max Gawn rucks 90% of the game, and everyone else takes maybe 5-10 hit outs a game. Do you know what I mean? Centre contests and stoppage contests. So he's fit, TDK. Like TDK, you look at his time trial numbers, he's got some tars on him. So it's not like long term. He probably can ruck 85, 90, and I don't mind Harry being there. Like if we can manufacture it, it gives us a more smaller option, doesn't it? Gives us a more creative option.
Yeah, definitely. Damien, I'm with you. That's the other name, Matt Kennedy. Not necessarily on the injury report. Didn't see him at all last week. Not 100% sure where he's at. By the way, tomorrow the teams will come out at 5 p.m. I'll be here live from about 4:30, 4:45. So we'll be here live when the teams do drop. So we will have answers to a lot of these questions, but just as a precursor to that, those are the 4 or 5 names. I think Chincotta, Pito, Kennedy, Binns to an extent. I'm not against Binns. I just look at the team and it's like, where's he playing? You know, unless we rest an Akers or we rest a Cottrell, something like that. And then Jack Carroll's the other one who played the second half. So these are the types of names I want to see a bit more of personally.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, Jackie C, again, I mean, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because I've seen a few comments about Kennedy, and dare I say it, Kennedy's becoming Paddy Dow. I can see round 12, Pom having the conversation, please stop asking where Matt Kennedy is. Do you know what I mean? I can see it. But, I mean, that's an interesting one because I thought that was probably the game last week that maybe you trial it, maybe you see, because you would say if there is an injury, touch wood, to a midfielder, Matt Kennedy is probably the first cab off the rank, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? You would say. So, based on skill level. But it was interesting Jack Carroll played, and Jack Carroll's probably a bit more creative. He's probably a little bit more dynamic on his day. But Kennedy's got the credits in the bank. We know he's AFL pressure. So that's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? That's good. That is going to be an interesting one because you would have thought, especially the role Hewitt played suits Kennedy because they changed his role a little bit in this Geelong game where he's no longer super defensive in his positioning. He's a bit more offensive. So that would play into what Kennedy does. So that would be a good shout. A good shout. Obviously, when I said Dow, Tim, I don't mean Dow ability. I mean Dow, where is he? That one. Do you remember everyone used to say, where's Dow? I don't know if you were winding me up. St Kilda, to answer your question.
We have a cameo alert. How's the timing? Here he is.
Hello.
He's got to get his screen time. Do you know what I mean? Puts zero effort into any research or anything, but he's got to get his screen time.
I don't do research at all. Not at all. No, did you see the thread I put up on Twitter today with the racing? I actually went berserk because one of the main trainers said that the girls are dominating like the big races here in Australia, and I just debunked him. I said, mate, put some time and effort into your stuff. Terrible, and just debunked him.
I might actually need to talk to you about the racing this week. I've got a fantasy draft league that I'm a part of, and we have to pick horses in a race that will determine our draft order. So I'll talk to you about it, but just let you know.
Well, I mean, look, we're like sort of there's the neon light right above. Cheap plug for SEN in the background there. How are you boys? What's crack-a-lacking?
Man, we're good. We're good. We just finished talking about Geelong, got over that, a bit about Walsh, and then really just about Melbourne. And maybe I'll ask you, who do you want to see more of this week, if anyone?
I want to see less of our bigger players, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
I want to see more of Jack Carroll. I want to see more of who else do I want to see more of? More of Lewis Young and Brodie Kemp. That'll be interesting. Yeah, more of Jack Carroll, I think.
No, it's a good point. Pommy mentioned like we could bring in Sam Durden. What would you do? Would you persist with figuring out if it's young Kemp, or did you see enough where you're like, all right, I need to see Sam Durden in there?
Yes, we'll find out on Wednesday night,
Tomorrow.
won't we?
Yeah.
Durden. I think they said Durden will play on Wednesday. Is that what they said last week? I think.
I don't remember.
Durden, that's what they said on the injury update from last week. So, or the squad announcement from last week. So, anyway, we'll see. It's exciting to have footy back again, and next week Carlton plays.
Next Friday, just like that.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. No, it is good.
Our great man in the back here, Mitch, is the great Mitch Abay is here, our great Essendon friend. He's got another topic for us tonight. What is it, Mitch?
Is it Back Benny Win Plenty?
He's coming around.
No, I'll jump in quickly.
It's a good question.
Here he is.
No, I was listening to the boys on the run home. They were talking about Carlton's forward line. Who are your two starting small forwards? Well, not small forwards, your forward pockets for the Blue Baggers this year. Their thoughts were Motlop and Owies, but I reckon Owies goes missing in the big game. So as a man who follows Essendon, who are a bit of a rabble and doesn't pay too much of attention to the Blue Baggers, I think Motlop's great value, but I think Owies' spot on the side I think he's just plugging a hole at the minute.
There you go. Bang.
Kicks a goal a game, but he's not quick, and I don't think he has as big an impact when do you have 4 touches in the final?
I tend to agree. I think he'll be pushed out of the team.
I don't rate him one bit.
That's what I think will happen.
Okay.
But that was just an opinion. Who are your two forward pockets?
I think everyone will agree Motlop's one of them.
Yep. Mitch is musing for, what are we? 26th of February, 2024.
So if I had to pick 2.
Yep.
I'll start. I'll go Motlop. Pom, who's the other one?
Only one man. Pomtasia.
Yeah.
I think he's the one, doesn't he?
You needed Lockie Schultz.
Yeah. Hey, he would have been nice. Lockie Schultz would have been nice.
He would have been okay.
Don't need Schultz when you got Pomtasia, mate.
That's true.
Mate.
He'll play, won't he? Orazio will play.
You always have to go Italian over German.
We won't go to that argument, will we? Although I do agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I will say one thing just before I go, because we've got to get back on air. That little SEM podcast we've got up and about, an Untitled Blues podcast. We have a special guest coming on. Very special guest.
It's not Mitch Abaya.
It's definitely not Mitch.
The word special guest gets thrown out a lot when it comes to Carlton podcast.
It's degrading now, I think. I think special guest has become degrading. You may have seen him on the channel a few times. I'll leave it at that. That really narrows it down, doesn't it?
It's back Benny, win plenty.
Exactly. All right. You lads go have a good night. Are you coming on Wednesday, Pommy?
To what?
The game. To what?
Mate, look, going to the game's good, but 1,000 people eating out of the palm of your hand, going to war around the world is so much more enjoyable, mate. We will be watching it, mate. We will be watching it.
I love it. All right. I'll be in touch on the comments and the chats.
All right, mate. Take care. Have a great night.
Monday cameos, and I reckon they might become a thing.
I like it. All
right. I'll see you all on Wednesday.
All right. Ciao.
Bring your sunscreen.
Shield. Carlton to be relegated into the championship. Yeah, not bad. I'll pay that. Bugs, love this.
Bugs Bell, that was
Bugs Bell goes bang. Bugs Bell goes bang. What about Pom Cotter? He's your number one fan, and you've already anointed a Pomtasia. What's the story with Pom Cotter? Is the love still there?
Of course, the love is massively still there. You know what? I will say this. Skipping back to the Geelong game, I think one of the warning signs for me wasn't Kemp, wasn't Young at all. Do you know what I mean? Because we've seen. Come on, let's be real. We're Carlton fans. We've fucking seen Carlton defenders shit themselves under a high ball. It's not a surprise. If you're shocked, you're either 3 years old or that was the first game you've ever watched at Carlton. I was more shocked when the ball hit the deck, right? When the ball hit the deck. And when the ball hit the deck, especially in that first half, they scored 6 goals from ground gets, from loose ground ball gets as well. And it was way too easy. And I'm telling you there is only one man in the Carlton list for a ground ball get. There is only one man called upon in his darkest hour, and that is my boy Pom Cotter. I'll tell you what, he may not be pretty, it may not be even effective, but I'll tell you one thing it is, he's got brute strength and ignorance, and that's all you need. So I think, I wouldn't be surprised. I know everyone's on the boy train because, he kicks. Headline, footballer can kick. But there's some things that separate you, and that is his raw defensive craft. And I would say if you pick Saab, Williams, Docks in the midfield, all of a sudden, there is room there for some brute strength and ignorance type footballer to allow them to play. And all the great sides who play out the back half of the ground have a bully, have a thug. And Pom Cotter is that thug. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Pom Cotter snake his way back into the side. I hope to see him this weekend because, tell you what, him versus Keziah Pickett, I know he's my number one fan. If he wants to earn my love and loyalty, take out Pickett, bro. Let Pickett know what it's about.
Well, this is the other thing. The Melbourne forward line is very different to the Geelong forward line. The Geelong forward line might have been a good test for Brisbane with 2, big boys down there, maybe 3 if you want to count the others. But Melbourne's different. Melbourne have those medium types, we'll call them, the Fritches, the Neil Bullens, the Keziah Picketts. So that raises another question about how we deal with that. And that's where I think the difference will come.
Mate, spot on. I mean, I think from a tactical analyst point of view, what's wonderful about this side is the conversations we've had tonight. We play a side that is more slight and quick. So Port Adelaide would be a good example. Pitternet and TDK's overkill in that game because they've only got one ruck between them because their rucks are Mickey Mouse rucks that think they can ruck but can't really. So TDK and Mackay is probably the answer there. And then you play maybe an extra medium size player in the back half of the ground, or maybe you go forward. It creates them opportunities. Christian asking about Lockie Cowan. Very interesting how Carlton deployed him. And we talked about this on the watch along. There is maybe an option that Cowan becomes the ploughman. And what I mean by that role is there was a point in time Carlton have played 2 traditional tolls or played one stoppier medium toll. just a pure stopper. Lockie Cowan's defensive craft is as good as Pomcotter's, but he has an advantage over Pomcotter. He's got a big rake of a foot. He can really clear his line. So he might be an option if you play a Geelong, who play in a very incredible heavy forward press, and you need to kick it long to get it out the back half of your ground or you're in bother. So suddenly now we've got loads of options. Do you know what I mean? If we play a midfield, that's tough. Do you know what I mean? We can pull Cunningham out. Now he's a midfielder. You bring Bam Bam in. Do you know what I mean? If you want to go all pace against an Adelaide side who I consider undersized, Carlton can bring in, your Elijahs and play him full on the ball, Cunningham on the ball. Jackson Binns, heaven forbid, what happens with his form? He might start being in the conversation, Jack Carroll. So suddenly now we haven't got 22 players with 6 players who are copies of everyone else. They've all got PODs, points of difference. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting. But Pom Cotter, he'll always have a place in my heart, I tell you. And we're back.
I want to make sure he never loses the love, I like what he's about.
The love, Pom Cotter.
I'm going to share my screen and talk a bit about Wednesday and the ticketing situation, just so everyone's clear. Firstly, it's a scorcher. Really, really, really hot weather. It's the perfect tune-up for Brisbane, to be honest. So the VFL practice match no longer open to the public. We just heard about that. The game against
the D. Is that going to be on TV?
What's that? The VFL? The VFL?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Boo.
Oh, yes, Matt. We'll talk about Marchie as well. Stand by for that. Gates open at 5:30. Entry will be on your ticket. If you want to guarantee yourself entry, you buy a ticket for $5. I think the rationale behind that was because it's a 6:30 p.m. start. It could be capacity, and therefore they might have to turn people back. So if you are a member for 2024, you can just scan in with your membership, or you can upgrade for $5 to guarantee your ticket. The game will be on KO, will be streamed. It'll also be available to watch with Pommy during the watch along. So that's that. So I put a poll up in YouTube in the chat. Will you be attending? I think when I first heard about this game, I thought it might actually sell out, and therefore I understood the rationale behind guaranteeing a ticket for $5. But now that the weather's a factor, hot, stuffy, all of that, I am curious. So if you are watching, put a vote. It says yes or no in the live chat. Will you be attending? Right now, 76% of you have said no. That's interesting.
And the reason why is because the man with the socialist agenda, Pommy knows, we don't charge $5 for a reservist seat. We don't charge a red cent for free. Comfort of your living room. You can sit with me. It would be my honour.
With the air conditioner on your face at the same time.
This is where it's at, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get kicked out here for swearing.
Yeah, no, I will I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm going with Steph. My sister. So we'll just go there and just sweat it out.
You two are sick, though. I imagine you and Steph enjoy the heat.
Oh, I mean, pretty sweaty Europeans. Yeah, not going to lie.
You two are just sick units. That's why I reckon you'd watch football on Venus, you and Steph.
Yeah, probably. I just love going to the football. I just love going to it. I just love people that showing up, especially at Icon Park. Johnny Holden's here. He showed up last week. I love that. I love sitting amongst the people, our people.
Look at Terry. We'll make a socialist of Terry. We'll do it. Our people. See that? Hey, we're rubbing off, chat. We'll get him here. We'll get him here.
Okay, so let's talk about Caleb Marchbank, because that's the other name that we just missed now. He was sick last week. It was a virus, an illness of some sort. I don't know. He seems to be a guy that just the unlucky things seem to happen to him over the course of his career. I don't know the real finer details of what this illness was, but in my mind, he's the first option. He's the one I want to see fill the hole before Jacob Wiedering gets back into the side. And I actually think Marchbank, I would pick him in the team with Jacob Wiedering. So he's an important piece without Wiedering.
So a lot of people were hitting me the other week, laughing. So I didn't know the answer. So I put a bit of effort into this, bit of recon. So I actually contacted a physio of a sporting organisation just to say, because the official reason he missed the game was post-viral, right, symptoms. And I was like, a little bit vague. Do you know what I mean? I'm now better, but I'm still feeling shit. I was like, it doesn't sound... I wouldn't accept that if you called in sick with that day. But he said quite often, he was like, heavy training loads, joint pain is a massive thing for viruses with professional athletes. It's joint pain. And he was like, genuinely speaking, and he didn't know anything about Caleb Marchbank. He said that would occur if the player is seriously injured. So he was like, if the physio's kind of like, it's probably the post-virus symptoms. It's probably that, but let's not risk him going out there in case he runs a little bit differently, holds his weight a little bit differently because of the aching and does himself a mischief. So he was like, genuinely, that was his translation for you. So we can speculate it was that, but he was like, usually that's what it means. He was like that it's probably erring on the side of caution. He did say, though, that's a sign of a good, efficient health and fitness team. He said, conditioning team. He said that if you're putting players out and talking like that, because it means you're going cautious, you're not taking the piss. Yeah. So that'll be good. But no, I agree. I think Marchbank will have watched that game, and I would have said the big complaint I heard from everyone was Lewis Young and Kemp, right? I think if Marchbank had played and was good, we probably wouldn't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Because I think at the moment everyone's like, oh my God, Lewis Young and Kemp have got to be centre half back and full back. I think if Marchbank had played, you were kind of like, because Marchbank for some reason, even though he hasn't played for 10 years, has credits in the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Charlie Curnow didn't have credit in the bank. Just remember that, chat. When we used to talk about Charlie Curnow, I was the one who backed him and looked like a tit for doing it if it had gone wrong. Charlie has more credits in the bank than Caleb Marchbank, in my opinion. But let's be honest, I think Marchbank, he has to. If he's fit, he's the main man, isn't he, down there? And this could be the first 3 games without Wiedering. Let's just say it's 3 games. If he's playing, this could make his career. This could be Charlie Curnow's first 6 games in his first Coleman. This could be it, where he has to perform. It's not a please perform. It's a has to perform. And this could turn him into another level.
Yeah, it could. It could. All right. So we have 7 minutes to go. I want to show you guys our new graphic designers for the channel. So obviously Ethan moved on to bigger and better things down at the Carlton Football Club. They've snapped him up. I can't tell you how much, well, first of all, and most importantly, great for Ethan. But without Ethan, I went into a 3-week spiral of what the actual fuck am I going to do with the thumbnails? Because the thumbnails are an essential part of any YouTube channel. So I want to show you guys our newest graphic designer for the YouTube thumbnails. So this is it. I'm going to show you 2 accounts. We have 2 graphic designers on board, young fellas. This guy's name is Luke, LB Graphics on Instagram. If you could go and follow these guys after this show and just write a little comment on one of their posts, maybe go to this Sam Walsh post on LB Graphics and just write BA or something, or BA sent me here. Get around them, young guys. This is some of the work that you've seen from Luke. So obviously we've got this week's thumbnails, the new BA show thumbnail. You would have seen last week's thumbnail, the new banner. And it just goes to show, opportunity presents itself when one leaves. So really excited to have Luke on board. And then for the Instagram side of things, we've got Kai. So this is Kai, 17 years old. So if you could go and just get around these boys, these are young guys coming up. They will do great work with us. And then,
hey, you know what? While we're here, let's live follow them.
Live follow. So KLGRFX. Go on to Kai's profile and just go to this Patrick Cripps little image here and just get around the boys. Just get around them because they're super talented and they're hungry. And that's something I found with this world. These younger guys, younger graphic designers, girls as well. But I've only worked with boys for the graphic design side of things. Man, they are hungry and they want to work and they love it. So it's a significant announcement. I like that we've got some fresh blood into the family. Also, you did see Paul, the jumper punch, is back next week, next Tuesday. We are back. They are back. The boys are back. They are chomping at the bit. Paul will have his news that he just gave us earlier. But before that, the jumper punch will be back to regular programming next week. So make sure you're ready for that. Pom, let's talk a little bit more about Friday.
Oh, no, chat. You've got ads in the live. You've got fucking ads while we're talking. I do apologise. What a sellout. But no, Friday, you have got a new show. In my opinion, just humbly, probably the greatest show ever invented since shows invented. I would say this is Gogglebox, but good, right? So we are going to be sat down, me, Uncle Terry, going to be sat down and we're going to take you word for word, blow for blow on any news, any media. So Paolo's Mob SEN, they can be picked on. Fox Footy can be picked on. And we're going to be dissecting the news. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through it, debate it. Is it worth listening to? Is it fact? Is it fiction? Is it PR? Is it relevant? And really digest it as a group, as a community, because I feel it's really important that we look at the news and take the news sometimes for what it is, as opposed to trying to make it what it is. So the idea is to hashtag end the narrative. That is it. Mm-hmm. Hashtag end the narrative.
Yeah. No, we are living in a time right now, not just in footy media, but in the world in general. Misinformation can spread like wildfire. And when you have a very passionate supporter base like we have, any wrong misquote or mistake in an article can actually lead to some sort of an opinion being created, which has come from nothing, from nowhere, with no factual basis. So anytime we see something throughout the week, anytime all of you see something throughout the week that you think we want to dissect, send it through. We'll go through it on this Friday show. It'll be 5 p.m. This Friday, first one, 5 p.m. Look, we're going to get better with it as it goes, but essentially it's Media Watch. It's BA Media Watch. And I think what it'll help us do, which I think is a really important part for Carlton supporters in particular, is to be able to critically analyze a piece of information before going forward with, a viewpoint. It's to take the sentence from my sister, it's evidence-based. So we want to bring a little bit more critical thinking and evidence-based teaching and education to the way in which we consume media. Because one thing's for sure, the media will come for us this year. We lose one game, we lose 2 quarters, we lose 3 quarters out of 4. They're coming for us. And so we just want to be prepared for the onslaught.
Those who tuned in yesterday with me and Jesse talked about clickbait and how that affects him and the abuse he gets sometimes because people take just the heading he's wrote on a video and assume the video is about what they think the narrative is. And his example was the West Coast. How did West Coast become the worst team in the comp? And he was like, the first comment was, what an arsehole, Victoria bias. You don't even watch the Eagles, you flog. Not realizing he's a West Coast Eagles fan. But people instantly jumped on him, not realizing he was trying to analytically say the list mistake. So really interesting thing. Can't wait to do it with you all. It's really good. So, yeah. And do you know what I mean? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Pom predicts there'll be a lot of media commentary after the show airs, which
I think so.
is good.
All right, we're going to wrap up. Also, open training this Sunday for those who are going to head down there. Almost Blues Brothers is coming up now. Joe's just going in. Love it. I love it. Jumper Punch next week. I think that's it. Tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. I'll jump on here, and then we'll get the teams at 5 p.m. live. So if you want to hang out tomorrow, we can do that. Wednesday, back to normal. Fan cams afterwards in the evening, and that's it. Stick around. Almost Blues Brothers is about to go live. Pom, thanks for being here. Love and light. Take it easy. Go Blues.
Peace.